Hi, hello, good evening. Please let me, excuse me, please let me know if the sound is okay. I'm not using the separate mic. I'm just using the mic on the laptop. So it'd be really good to know if the sound is good because a couple of times ago we had problems with it, but welcome. And I am recording this or going live from the island of Gozo, where we are in the grip of Cerberus, who is the name that's been given to this mega heat wave that we've got in the southern Mediterranean. I think it's actually very fortunate that, oh, great, sound is great. Thanks, my love. Thanks, Melanie. I think I'm very fortunate that I'm actually on an island because I think if I was on mainland Europe, I would have been cooked by now. But just to give you an idea of the temperatures that we are having, today it was about 38 in Gozo, which in Fahrenheit terms is about 97, 98. And this week we have temperatures predicted to go, hey, I'm just thinking, I'm a weather forecaster as well as a YouTuber. Anyway, we've got temperatures forecast this week to go up to well over 40, and that is in the hundreds, and that is not going to be pleasant. So I'm staying inside. I have the blinds down, the fans on, the air conditioning on, everything to keep me cool, cool, cool. And if you are in one of these parts of the world, please do the same and take super good care of yourselves. Also, take good care of yourselves if you are in the southern part of North America, because I believe they or you are also experiencing very, 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 very hot temperatures. But now, on to the business in hand, because tonight I'm going to talk about tomorrow's new moon in Cancer, but at the same time, I really need to bring in the information about the nodes changing signs as well. And also, I'm going to have a little look at that grand cardinal cross that we have forming as I speak in the sky. So namaste from Gozo to namaste to India. That's great. We have such a fabulous international audience and a really big welcome to you all. I think you know who I am. I'm Penny Dix. I'm an astrologer and a life coach. I was trained as a psychotherapist, worked as a psychotherapist for over 20 years, and was learning astrology all alongside that. And now I have brought that modality together with psychotherapy, so astrology with psychotherapy, to give, I think, quite a unique way of looking at a natal chart. And remember, if you would like a session to me, please go to my website, which is pennydix.com. Very easy to remember. And contact me via the email or the contact form, and I will get back to you soon. And I've still got appointments for August and beyond. So there's plenty of time. So I see I'm just chopping my head off a bit at the top. Beirut, fantastic. Wow, this is just amazing. It's so lovely to see you all here. But now let's get on with this, because we have a new moon in Cancer tomorrow, which is the 17th. And Cancer is an interesting sign, isn't it? Because the moon, of course, rules Cancer. And the moon is our nurturing mother. It's our orbiting satellite. It's what would we do if the moon was not in our sky? It would be a very different kind of sky we look out on. And I do think that the energy of these lunations, of full moons and new moons, are incredibly powerful. So let's look at how powerful this particular new moon is, because Pluto, my planet of transformation, of power, of being empowered, retrograde in Capricorn, is in opposition to this new moon. It's not exact, because when it's exact, it will be making this grand cardinal cross. And that is going to be super interesting. I'm seeing Carol Lamb here is saying you're late Cancer and you're at 29 degrees. So you're at the anaretic point of Cancer. So your sun is absolutely opposite Pluto, and you are part of this grand cardinal cross. So you may feel you are being tugged in all sorts of directions at this time. But I'm going to come to what that energy means, because the other thing about this particular new moon is that Neptune in Pisces, now retrograde, is trining. So that's a nice angle. That's like that. It's trining the new moon. And the only thing with a trine is that we can sit back and think we don't actually have to make any effort. Or sometimes, because it's Cancer, because it's Neptune, our dreams or our ideas or what we want to manifest may have an element of, unreliability about them, and also of just not really being very realistic. So I think it's very important at the moment. I really thought it was important to do this new moon the day before we actually have the new moon. So you have time to really kind of get yourself into this energy and understand about this Cancer energy, this nurturing of the mother of the soul, of the inner child within as well. The transformation that Pluto can bring is quite extraordinary through this new moon. But as I said, we have to be super careful. Neptune, retrograde, make sure your dreams that you're trying to manifest are realistic. And let's look at boundaries while we're talking about that, because remember, Cancer, like Pisces, is a water sign. And Saturn is currently retrograde in Pisces, and it's coming up, or at least Mars and Saturn are coming up to oppose each other. So Mars is now at 4 degrees of Virgo. So it is kind of part of this new moon energy, and Saturn is at 6. So they are widely in opposition. Hi, Carol, you've got a Pisces moon. Yes, me too. We've got a full moon at the end of August in Pisces. In fact, we have 2 full moons in August, one on the 1st in Aquarius, one on the 31st in Pisces. There we are, got it right. But listen, this Saturn opposite Mars, this is quite tense energy. Saturn in Pisces wants to create some kind of foundation and boundaries. How do you create boundaries in the water? We can try, but it's not very easy, because the water is actually the dominant force. And, if you've been in a fast-moving river or in the sea when it's got very rough, it's very clear that water is the powerful force. So what I want to say is Mars in Virgo is a little bit like us giving attention to the detail and getting a little bit picky about it. And because it's Mars, getting really quite irritated if other people don't get what we're going on about. Saturn, on the other hand, on the other side, opposing it, is kind of pulling at that energy and saying, get realistic about this and stop being so picky. So be careful that you don't kind of get caught in these unrealistic ways of looking at things. Now, Uranus, my big outer boy of the unexpected, of surprise, of, what else is it? It can be waking up. It can be rebellion. It's a very interesting planet. It's also electricity and technology. So Uranus is actually making a sextile to the new moon. So you know what? There you are with your ideas about what you would like to invite in with this new moon energy. They might be achieved in rather extraordinary or unexpected ways. So don't be surprised if synchronicity or serendipity has a hand to play in what you are trying to manifest. Now, someone here in the chat is saying they've been a bit emotional. And actually, thank you for reminding me of that, because I'll tell you how this new moon has been affecting me, in fact, all week. And I don't think it's just that the new moon's in Cancer. I think what we're all experiencing is the energy of the nodes shifting from fixed energy to cardinal energy. You might hear my cat making little chirpy noises down there. They've decided it's supper time. They're just going to have to wait. So yes, I'm going to talk about the nodal returns. So bear with me, because this energy, as we go from fixed to cardinal, you think about it. Fixed, I do it my way. I'm going along this way. I'm just going in this direction, and I'm not going to be swayed either way to go that way or this way. Cardinal energy comes in and whoa, let's do it this way. Let's go that way. Let's go. Let's get it done, and let's get it done now. Now, what I'm noticing is that how it's made me behave in the last week. So I'll give this to you because it might be that this will resonate with you, is that it has actually made me more reactive to situations and people than responsive. So I've kind of, been in a situation with someone where I think, what did they mean by that? Have I said something to upset them? Have I offended them? And it sent me into a kind of overthinking kind of way of being. And normally, and certainly while fixed energy is around, I'm much more kind of stable. So I don't know if any others of you have found yourselves to feel very sensitive this last week, a bit emotional, a bit kind of like, oh, that if people are picking on me or people don't understand me, it's that kind of energy that we can have around at the moment. This is the nodes shifting signs. And tomorrow, basically, they are going to be on that borderline, that boundary between Taurus and Scorpio and Aries and Libra. So someone here, Diva Diane, is saying, yeah, she's been feeling the weird energy. It really has been. It's made me reclusive. I've wanted to go out and kind of be all friendly and bubbly with people, and then thought, oh, I think I'll just go home and stay out of the way because, oh, someone else here, Caro, saying, yes, the emotions. And it's almost been like, this is for the ladies watching. One's a bit premenstrual. I mean, that ship sailed for me a long time ago, but it's like I feel premenstrual and I'm just terribly sensitive and I don't like it. Everything, I'm just really, really sensitive. So that is going on. And I think it is this shift of energies. I have had more disagreements with people this week over really nothing than I've had in the last year. And really, it was something of nothing, because what I'm finding is if I say what I feel to another, whether I'm right or wrong, and I may be right and I may be wrong in whatever it is I'm saying, and I'm only too willing to hold my hand up and say I'm wrong if I'm wrong. But what I'm finding is that the other person then is reacting and going, oh gosh, like this is the final straw. Nobody understands me, including you. So you get that kind of where everyone, we just all retreat back to our little kind of areas and keep ourselves safe and secure, which of course is very Cancer. You know, the moon is in Cancer and the sun is in Cancer, and here they are coming together. I think once we get past tomorrow, when we have this new moon energy kind of moving through us and helping us, just what we have to do is ride with the wave of it. And the nodes changing signs tomorrow, and they flirt and dance a bit with this change of signs, because the nodes aren't fixed anyway. They kind of move a little bit forward, a little bit back, a little bit forward, a little bit back. They are always going, though, in a clockwise motion round the solar system, which I find very interesting, because the planets of our solar system actually go round the sun counterclockwise. So that when a planet is retrograde, it's actually going clockwise. And there's no kind of complicated scientific reason for this, other than when the universe was formed, or our solar system was forming, the direction of the solar winds and the cosmic winds happened to be going anti-clockwise around our sun. And so gravity from the sun and from these cosmic bodies that became Earth and Mars and Venus and Mercury, Neptune, Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, all coalesced and kind of joined up in that kind of and stayed in this counterclockwise energy, which is interesting because, you know, clocks go clockwise. You'd think if we were in harmony with our solar system, they would go counterclockwise. Hi, Janice. Yes, restless and impatient. That is another symptom, I think, of this energy currently. But let me just come back to the node shifting signs, because they are incredibly important. And some of you have already mentioned that you're having a nodal return. You may also be having a reverse nodal return. So, for example, if your north node is in Aries, then you are now having a nodal return. That will mean that your south node is in Libra. Whereas if you have your south node in Aries and your north node in Libra when you were born, then you are actually having a reverse nodal return. Now, I'm going to give you some ages to just look at. Now, I go into this in more depth in a video that I'm hoping will be ready to upload and publish on Tuesday, but a longer look at how we are affected by the change of signs for the nodes. And in that video, I go through each individual zodiac sign, which is time-stamped, so that you know which area of your life you can expect this nodal energy to play out. So as I said, I'll go into that in depth in that video. So I'm just going to give you the headlines here. So let's see. So someone's having crazy dreams. Someone injured your ankle. No, that's horrible in Seattle. That's terrible. Yeah, things like that. That's probably a Saturn transit in your chart, I would imagine, because that's... So someone here has their south node in Libra. How interesting, because then you have your north node in Aries. So you are experiencing, Lana, a nodal return. Now, let's just have a look at the ages that we need to highlight, because the nodes actually take about 18.6 years to go round the zodiac. So we all have our first nodal return when we are 18. which is really quite interesting because in most countries, that's when we come of age. So it's quite interesting that those 18 years between cradle and coming of age are marked by this nodal return. And it's just interesting energy. And then it would also come again at 37, 55, or 74. And and it doesn't matter where your nodes are, those are the ages you will experience your nodal return. And this year going into next is for Aries and Libra. Remember, the North Node is in Aries and the South Node is in Libra. And so if you are approximately 27, 46, 64, or 83, I feel like I'm calling out bingo numbers, you will have the reverse nodal return. So this is a time of going back to basics, rediscovering the good qualities that you have brought with you and learnt through your life. And the North Node, when you have your North Nodal return, which is in Aries at the moment, is when we can find we move quite effortlessly towards our destiny. And we will find that things take on a somewhat bingo, someone's called. Right, you won. So Caro won. Come up and collect your prize. So, okay, another North Node in Libra. Really, when we are at this kind of point, it's as if things will unfold fairly easily. And certainly if I think back to when I had my nodal return, my nodes are in Sagittarius and Gemini. And so I was 64 when I was just building up to launch my business in its current form. So it's quite interesting. And it all went like bomb, 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 and kind of fell into place. So, oh, South Korea is here. Fantastic. There we go. North Node in Libra, 64. Fantastic. So let's just have a little think more about these nodes, because what they can signify is a kind of turning point in our life. And also we have to look at how it's going to affect world events. So how is it going to affect world events? Because, you know, what I'm thinking about is the fact that over the next 18 months, because that's roughly the time scale that the nodes stay in each sign, over the next 18 months, I think, you know, we're going to see significant changes on the world stage. First of all, let's look at the fact that we also have Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. Pluto is back in Capricorn to tidy up and get rid of, tear down what Pluto started when it moved into Capricorn 15, 16 years ago. And Pluto is trying to change the structure of the way we run our governments, our institutions, and our traditional values. It's saying, this is done. It's time to move on. It's time to embrace the energy of the Aquarian age, where we will raise our collective consciousness and really feel that all of us, whatever age we are, will find that something opens up in our psyche, in our soul, that can connect us with a kind of more eternal and divine wisdom. And so these next 18 months, I think astrologically, and we will see historically, are extremely important. This is almost like the culmination of what got started in about 2018, 2019, those 2 years that led up to the COVID years, and the changes that we have all been kind of tossed around in. over the last few years. Now, for the last 18 months, we've had fixed energy with the nodes. And this has really meant that things have just stayed as they are. It's almost as if we keep going round in circles. You know, it's a bit like if we take the analogy of what's happening in Ukraine. You know, the Russians move in a bit and get a bit more territory, and then the Ukrainians take a bit back. And it's kind of this kind of dance that goes on. And they all kind of retreat to their kind of corners to lick their wounds temporarily before they start the whole dance again. Now, we're in cardinal energy. Things are definitely going to hot up, not just the weather. Things are going to hot up in Europe, in Eastern Europe, and in Russia. I feel that there is an energy brewing that will, I think there will be an element of, there's going to be, it's this Aries energy, that North Node in Aries is really wanting to go out there, all guns firing. Thank goodness the South Node is in Libra. Libra is about balance and harmony. Libra is about finding the middle ground. So I wonder whether we will see some quite directive and action-based communication coming from the people that need to talk to bring about some kind of resolution to this situation in Ukraine. We've also got to bear in mind that in America, we're going to have an election, and that's going to most probably stir up a lot of cardinal feeling and hot energy, whichever way it goes. You know, it's just going to be like, I think, a tinderbox. And we have a potential change of government and election in the United Kingdom. That is also coming. So there's a lot of change, and I just think it's fascinating that the nodes have changed into cardinal, getting things done energy, and that Pluto is doing this back and forwards dance into Capricorn, back into Aquarius, to try and kind of move us all on, to really get us moving. And so someone here is saying Pluto has totally ripped my house down, kicking everyone out, sober for 3 years. Well done. Well done. Your Capricorn sun, you're 50 in December. Last 5 to 6 years have been intense. I bet they have. I bet they have. And you then are doing extremely well to have reached the point you have. And well done for staying sober. So, as you can see, we are going to go into very different territory now. So maybe it's no wonder that we've all been feeling a little bit disconnected, a little bit irritated, a little bit fractious, a little bit anxious, a little bit emotional. I know there's been several times when I just sort of want to cry, but I'm not really sure why I'm crying. And, you know, because I haven't really got anything in particular to cry about as such. And I've been going through this, well, you know, when you go through sort of, they don't understand me, they don't like me, you know, real, complete distorted thinking, absolute mind reading rubbish. I mean, I really haven't been my own best friend this last week, but thankfully I'm coming out of it because, and hopefully you will too through what I'm saying, because as we become aware of what it is and how the energies are affecting us like this and making us feel, you know, we're realizing how we can start actually coming through this and taking charge, using that Pluto energy to empower ourselves, to be the powerful beings that we are. And this is what we have to do. Now, let's just talk about as well this grand cardinal cross, that we're going to be in the grips of this energy for a few days. And I'm going to leap forward in time to the 22nd of July, because that is when the sun in Cancer, at the anaretic degree of Cancer, which is a very powerful position of any of the signs, when a planet is at that point, it makes it super powerful and really exaggerates the energy of that sign. And it's completely opposite Pluto, our dwarf, massively powerful planet, our planet of change and transformation, Pluto in Capricorn. So with the nodes, the South Node in Libra, the North Node in Aries, they make this grand cardinal cross. Now, I've also got a video coming out with a lot more insight and information about this grand cardinal cross, and that will be out on the 22nd. Now, what's interesting on the 22nd is that the North Node is conjunct Eris. Do you remember about Eris? She is the rebellious goddess who didn't get invited to the wedding. So she causes mayhem with the goddesses, saying, I'll give this golden apple to the one who's the fairest. And goes, here you are, girls. Tosses it into the group of squabbling goddesses. And in the end, Aphrodite cuts a deal. And with Paris, who has been chosen to choose the most beautiful goddess. And of course, she promises him that he can have the love of the most beautiful woman in the world, which happens to be Helen of Troy. Well, we know what happened then, didn't we? Paris chooses Aphrodite, gives her the golden apple. He pops off to Troy, falls madly in love with Helen of Troy. And then we had the Trojan Wars that went on for something like 100 years. Now, I'm not suggesting that's what we're about to embark into, but I do think it's super interesting that the North Node is conjunct Eris, bar 25, 26, 27, 28, no, bar 4 degrees. It is conjunct Eris. I think there is going to be quite a surge of energy on the 22nd of July. Now, remember, this is just before the sun moves into Virgo. So, sorry, into Leo. I leapt us ahead a month. So this is just before it moves into Leo. So someone here saying you've got the fixed grand cross, a fixed grand cross in your natal chart. Yes, I think you will have felt it, my love. The cardinal grand cross coming in, your Libra sun, Libra rising, Taurus moon. So that node, that south node, is going to be going back and forwards over your ascendant. That's going to be super interesting for you. I think things from the past are going to manifest in the present for you to deal with and to learn from. So interesting times. So the 22nd, I do think, is going to be a significant point in time. Whether anything actually happens on that day is another matter. But I think it potentially means, and I'm just seeing what Uranus is doing, because Uranus is actually trining the moon that day. Now, Uranus is the planet also of rebellion. So Eris is about rebellion, and so is Uranus. But Uranus is trining the moon. So it may be that there is some sense that day of rebellious kind of behavior that actually brings about the fortunate changes that we need. So it is actually perhaps quite beneficial. we really need to look also at the fact that Chiron, our wounded healer, our asteroid that's also in Aries, is 10 degrees apart also from that north node. There is something about this energy that, to me, that feels through, excuse me, through fighting talk, healing can be brought in. Now, that can be on an individual level, but I don't advise fighting talk in that kind of measure. I think it would be more about direct talk, but with kindness, so that can bring about positive changes. But I think this is more collective and on the world stage, because it brings in the energy of the South Node that's in Libra, and that, of course, is in the event chart, is in the 9th house of this chart. And when you go to my video that will be out on the 22nd, you'll actually see there'll be a chart over my shoulder, over here. Over my shoulder goes one chart. So there'll be a chart there. And I'm sorry, I often break into song. I'm just kind of, and then I'll get done for copyright. Anyway, I digress. So with that particular, so with that video, and also with the video about the nodes, I will have a chart up there. And my new moon video is already up there, which I go through each of your individual signs. So if you've not seen that video yet, go to that new moon in Cancer video on my channel, and your zodiac signs are timestamped, so you can do all of that. Now, let me see what else I want to say, because this is also very interesting, because Mercury in Leo, again, in Leo, kind of quite fighting talk, and Mercury in Leo is not going to be pushed around. So there's a kind of a real sense there of the fixed energy of Leo, and Mercury is conjunct Venus at 28 degrees of Leo. So this is about the feminine. Now, it can be the intuitive feminine within masculinity talking, or it can be the intuitive feminine in the feminine energy. So, but there is something about the wisdom of the feminine and the power, because I think we're going to find with Venus in Leo, and Venus, remember, is having a retrograde on the 23rd. And I've got another video. Guess what? I've got another video coming up, and that's on the 23rd. And that's all about Venus going retrograde. And again, I talk about each of your individual zodiac signs, and it will have the magical chart above my shoulder. So Venus in Leo, I feel, is quite powerful. And rather than being a pussycat, really is the lion. And you don't want to mess with that kind of powerful fixed energy of the feminine. When the feminine is in that fixed state, we don't mess with it. And so there is this kind of collection of energies within the whole of this new moon energy. I love that someone's just written, chocolate fixes everything. Oh, absolutely. I could not agree more. If in doubt, eat chocolate. And you've also said you've got Chiron in Aries, but you're feeling a shift in some deep shifts on how you handle. Oh, please don't feel abandoned. We haven't abandoned you. And, sometimes, actually, this is you've brought up a really important point, chocolate person, because, hi, Petros. And you've brought up a really important point, because when we feel abandoned, or if we feel lonely, what has happened on an inner level is we've kind of regressed into our inner child that can't find mummy and daddy anywhere. And, sometimes when we're the child, we're okay on our own, but usually we know there is a mummy or daddy around somewhere if we need them. If we can't find them, we go into a kind of state of breakdown and panic. So as grown-ups, allegedly, and adults, it means that when we feel this kind of sense of abandonment, not being liked, ignored, lonely, we're caught in that inner child part of us. And what we have to do is find that inner parent to parent ourselves, because when we're in that adult part of ourselves, we can be alone. We can't. It's very difficult, isn't it? It's like there's cognitive dissonance between being alone and lonely. You can't. You as an adult, if you feel alone, then actually you're okay because you're alone and you can be alone. But if you're an adult and you're feeling lonely, you're somehow caught in that inner child part. Thank you, Tony G. Nice to see you. And what I want to say is that it's the same with when we take on these kind of feelings of, I haven't heard from so-and-so. Obviously, that means they don't like me. They don't like what I said in my last message. And we get into the what-ifs and the imaginings of all sorts of things that are really not true. And there is something about recognizing when we are in our adult self and when we're in our child self. When we're in our adult self, we can be on our own, we can feel empowered, and we are able to set boundaries and take care of ourselves. When we are in our child part, we need somebody to set the boundaries. We need the security of an adult to set those boundaries. We also need all the things that the Cancer Moon is about: nurturing, love, security, emotion, feeling. So all of this may be in some way what you have been going through in the last few days with this shift of the energies. And it will settle. It'll just kind of, what will happen is we will sort of get used to it, and we will actually, the neural pathways in the brain can learn new ways of firing and connecting with different bits pretty smartly and quickly. And we will get to the point where we actually have adapted. Because that people that are too fixed can't adapt. If you're fixed and you can't adapt, then you're probably not going to survive. If you're flexible and you can adapt, then you will survive. Just an interesting thing to think about. And I think that all of this is something of that nature. Janice here has brought up the story of Psyche and Eros. And I haven't got time to go into the story of Psyche and Eros today, but it is a very relevant story, and I will bring it in at a later date, because it's an incredibly important one about the journey of the feminine through the underworld and how we have to do that alone. Because the only way we grow up and mature is to separate from mother, find our own inner feminine, and allow ourselves to have the masculine as part of that masculine feminine balance, and then we grow up. Thank you, Diva Diane. I think I needed this live today as well. And actually, I was, before I started the live, and I am going to start bringing it to a close now, I was watching the Wimbledon final, and I thought nobody's going to come on. They'll all be watching the Wimbledon final because it's the tennis final between Djokovic and Alcaraz. And when I switched off the television, it was one set all, and Alcaraz was leading in the second set. So I'm going to pour a glass of cheeky chilled white wine, probably add some sparkling water to make it into a spritz because it's so hot. And I'm going to get some supper. I'm going to watch the rest of the tennis if it's still on, which I think it will be. And I'd like to say thank you so much, all of you, for joining me. Thank you for your lovely chat that hopefully I've managed to answer some of you. And I really do value your support. Please share this. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Get your friends to subscribe. And, check out the rest of my channel. And remember, if you've joined late and you want to, you can see this on playback. And also, if you do want to have a session with me, go to my website, www.pennydix.com. I really would love to read your chart for you and tell you how the transits are going to affect you. So thank you, Petros. Yes, I will very much enjoy the spritz. Oh, that's lovely, Sherry. Thank you. You'd rather watch me than the tennis. Oh, bless you. And it's a great match. Yes, I'm going to go back and watch it now. Hi, Trish, the navigator. You are so welcome. Listen, guys, thank you so much. I am going to go now, and I will see you very soon. So thanks for watching. This is where I click end stream, and then I make a funny face because I'm never quite sure when it clicks off. Here goes. Goodbye for now.